Here are the final thoughts of the Week 14 NFL picks against the spread. Before we get into that, please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video. Visit walterfootball.com for tons of content. We have we have NFL picks against the spread. We have NFL power rankings. We have 2026 and 2027 NFL mock drafts. We grade every signing. We grade every trade. It's all at walterfootball.com. It's all free too, so check us out. All right, let's begin with the Redskins at the Vikings. This is a big change for what I had in the previous video. I said I'd like the Vikings earlier. That's no longer the case. So I initially liked Minnesota because, first of all, Washington coming off a grueling overtime game against Denver. They played 160 snaps. They're going to be exhausted for this game. They're getting public action their way because suddenly we're like, oh, the Redskins are good. It's not actually not true. And then also, this is going to be the easiest defense J.J. McCarthy had seen throughout the entire year, his career, actually, because ever since he took over for Wentz, every defense he's played against has been top 14 in EPA. Washington's 32nd. So I thought, okay, we have a very easy matchup for Minnesota. We have a tired Washington team, and we have Minnesota as a home underdog. They were favored by a point or two eventually, but I like Minnesota. It looked like the Sharps did as well. But there's been a change. Now Jaden Daniels is going to start. So I don't know. This is the first time that Daniels is going to be on the field with Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuel, and a healthy offensive line like this season. This is the first time. So we might see Washington at its best, but at the same time, Washington could still be exhausted and Daniels could be rusty. So I don't necessarily want to take Washington either. If I had to pick a side, I think I'd still take Minnesota, but I don't really like this from a betting perspective anymore. It sucks that a potential bet got ruined. So we have a game here, Dolphins and Jets, that I do like. I like the Jets +3. You can still get -122 of FanDuel, which I would do. According to the math, it's worth up to paying -127 for a 3. That's the correct price at -122. The Jets look good here because the Dolphins are fraud. They've won 4 games recently, but a couple of those games were just a farce. Like they had a count on the Redskins muffing a punt at the end of the game to avoid a loss there. They had a pick 2 against the Saints at the end. Otherwise, the Saints could have kicked the field goal to win. So the Dolphins could have easily lost those 2 games, and they caught Atlanta in a really bad spot. So the Dolphins don't deserve to be 2.5 or 3-point favorites. The Jets have been playing better recently with Tyrod Taylor. He should be able to throw Miami, which has a pass funnel defense. And speaking of passing, Tua Tagovailoa has never won in 45 degrees or colder in the NFL. He's 0-8 when it's 45 degrees or colder. He's had one cold weather game this year. He was so bad in it against the Browns that he got benched. Now, the Jets don't have the same defense as the Browns, but they still have a pretty good defense that's been playing better since the past few weeks, ever since the players got acclimated to Aaron Glenn's system. So I like the Jets here to win outright. Next game is Titans at Browns. I really have no interest in this game. Looks like the Sharps are coming in on Tennessee. I can't trust the Browns to cover 3.5. Shador Sanders, all he does is throw screens, like cover your ears, Justine Anderson. He's not very good. But then again, the best unit on this field is Cleveland's defense. And Myles Garrett could get the sack record here because Cam Ward holds the ball for an eternity. The problem with the Browns, except for Shador Sanders, is that they have a lot of injuries. They lost 2 offensive linemen. They lost potentially 2 defensive linemen, and one of the linebackers could be out. They lost like 5 starters in that game last week. So I don't really trust them to cover 3.5. If I had to pick a side here, I think I'd take Cleveland. But like I said, the Sharps are in Tennessee, so you'd be going against that. The Ravens are -6 against the Steelers. I like them here. -5.5 is not worth paying -118 for. If it's like -114 or -115, that's okay. -118 is a little bit too much. But still, I like Baltimore here. Steelers are atrocious. They can't score. They scored 7 points against a bad Buffalo defense last week. Aaron Rodgers didn't complete a pass over the line of scrimmage until the third quarter, which is insane. They can't block. They can't run. The only thing they do well is rush the passer, but Baltimore has good tackles, so I don't think that's going to go very well for them. And Lamar Jackson has had 9 days to heal. He should be better in this game. I suspect he's going to run more, and even if he can't, Pittsburgh's defense just allowed almost 300 rushing yards last week to Buffalo. So Baltimore is it looks great in this matchup. Seahawks at Falcons. So I know Tom, for example, does a show with me on Friday. He likes the Falcons. I've seen one of the Circa Millions leaders is on the Falcons as well. I can see it because Seattle is in such a bad spot. They're coming off Sam Darnold revenge. And then next week they have they have a matchup against the 8-4 Colts, and then the Rams right after that, 4 days later. So they have a tough gauntlet ahead of this one, and I don't know if they're going to be focused for Atlanta. If they are, they could easily blow Atlanta out. But this seems like a really bad spot for the Seahawks. So from a just a spot perspective, I like Atlanta, but that's not enough for me to bet the game. I would take Atlanta if I had to, but not. Luckily, we don't have to. Colts against the Jaguars. The Jaguars are +1.5. I like them a lot here. So I compare the Colts to a girl at the bar that you're dancing with. The lights are low, and that's how it is at bars. And then the lights come on, and you're like, oh my god, what have I been looking at this entire time? The Colts, they have a good record. They had a great record beforehand, but they haven't had a good game since October 26th. They lost to Pittsburgh, which at the time you're like, fluky loss, they'll bounce back, and they did win their next game, but against Atlanta in overtime. Think about how bad that is. They had to go to overtime to beat Atlanta, and then after that, they had a lead against the Chiefs, and then they blew that lead. They lost to the Texans. Now Daniel Jones has a fractured fibula. They're down their top 2 defenders. DeForest Buckner's out. Sauce Gardner's out. What can this team do well except for running the ball? I don't know. And Jacksonville defends the run pretty well. So. Also, the Colts haven't won in Jacksonville since 2014. Even Andrew Luck couldn't win in Jacksonville. This has just been a house of horrors for the Colts. I don't see why they suddenly would win this year when the Jaguars are playing better with Jacoby Myers helping out Trevor Lawrence. So I like Jacksonville quite a bit here, as I said, +1.5. Buccaneers are -8.5 against the Saints. I'm so torn on this one. I can see it going either way. If I had to play, this would be the Saints, just because Baker Mayfield's not 100%, and the Bucs have some injuries. Tristan Wirfs barely practiced this week, for example. But the Saints are just a train wreck. And I know they covered against the Dolphins. We had them for a big play against the Dolphins last week, but that was a Saints-Dolphins matchup that was pretty even. Like the Dolphins are a little bit better than the Saints, but not a lot. But the Buccaneers are a lot better than the Saints. They tend to beat up on bad competition, and so they could do that again. But they already beat the Saints earlier this year, and kind of like last year when they blew out the Saints, and then the second matchup was close in Tampa. The Tampa barely won, and that was with Rattler, a quarterback. I can see the same thing here. The Tampa blew them out the first time, and maybe the Saints hang around just because maybe Tyler Shuck he has a good fourth quarter again or something. So. I like the Saints at +8.5 in terms of like an office pool, but nothing from a betting perspective. Bengals at the Bills. The Bills are -6, so looks like some sharp money came in on Buffalo, unless it was phantom movement, and we'll find out Sunday morning if some money comes back in on Cincinnati. But I would take Cincinnati here. I think that they are going to be playing better with Joe Burrow. He had a good first game, a little rusty to start, but then second half was really good. And I think that in this game he should be doing even better. And Buffalo's run defense is still very suspect. I think Chase Brown should have a good game. But we know how bad Cincinnati's defense is. Although the past 2 weeks, I don't know if this is a fluke, but Cincinnati's defense held down Drake May, and they held the Ravens to 14 points. I don't know. Again, this could be fluke. But if something's going on there, they finally figured something out, maybe to be like mediocre defense instead of atrocious defense, then this line is just way off. So I think +6 looks a little attractive. I'm thinking I'm going to bet the game, but if I had to, that's where I'd go. I'm not going to bet this one. Denver at the Raiders. Again, the one of the leaders in the Circa Millions likes Denver. I don't see how you do. Like, Denver just has been so underwhelming in these games. Like, they barely beat the Jets 13-11. They barely beat the Giants. They're down 19-0. They barely beat the Redskins last week. And again, they 160 snaps. Like, they could be exhausted here. And they already beat the Raiders 10-7. Now they play them again. Like, what's the sense of urgency here? I just don't see it for the Broncos. But then again, the Raiders are so bad that they could just lose because Geno throws 2 picks or something. Like, Geno Smith has the worst protection in the NFL, and he's terrible. Amina Kimes, who's the ESPN DAI hire, she said that he was a top 10 quarterback, which I don't know how she came to that conclusion. I don't even know if he's a top 30 quarterback at this point of his career. He is awful, and Denver could, if their defense has some big plays, they could win easily. But again, we haven't seen that from them. Except for the Dallas game, I guess. And it just, I don't know if I could trust Denver as a high favorite. If I had to play this game, it would be Denver, but not a fan of this one. With Bears and Packers, I like this game a little bit more, but not enough to bet it. Bears +6.5 looks pretty decent. I think there's fair criticism of the Bears. They're first, they're the number 1 seed. But they're not as good as the number one seed. They could have easily lost some games, but I think they are playing better right now. Their offensive line is really gelled. Their defense has gotten a lot of players back from injury, including TJ Edwards this week, so they should be able to stop the run better. And the Packers will have Jaden Reed back, so they'll be better. But I don't know how healthy he's going to be in his first game back from a long absence. And the Packers have been very underwhelming as big favorites as well, kind of like Denver. But recently they did cover against Minnesota, and they were up by 10 a few times against the Lions. So maybe we're seeing the Packers evolve and play better down the stretch. But I think the Bears should be able to hang around by running the ball in the Packers. The Bears have a great offensive line, and they're really moving the ball well. And the Packers suffered a loss in Devontae Wyatt. Not that he's been playing that well, but still, it's a body that they lost. So Chicago could keep this game close. But then if we see the Packers live up to their potential, then they could win by margin. I love this game a lot more. It looks like the Sharps are pouncing on the Rams. It's about time. The Rams are now -9.5 or 10. So I think I like this as a comparison to what the Eagles did last year. First of all, in two Eagle games, like the Eagles almost lost to the Panthers last year. If Xavier Legette doesn't drop the ball the final play of the game, the Panthers beat the Eagles, and the Rams lost to the Panthers. So stuff like that can happen even to the best teams. But a few weeks after that Panthers game, Eagles lost to the Redskins, right? Devontae Smith dropped the ball, and that was a game they could have won, but they made a mistake. So the next week they come back against Dallas with a backup quarterback and in the divisional game and just absolutely slaughter the Cowboys. It's the same spot. The Rams are playing against the Cardinals, backup quarterback, divisional game, off a loss. I think they slaughter Arizona. Arizona's played a lot of games close, but whenever they've gone against top competition, Seattle recently, they got blown out. San Francisco recently, they got blown out. I think the Rams are better than those teams, and so they should be able to put the foot on the throat of the Cardinals and win easily. So I love the Rams here. Are going to bet the alt line at -20.5 as well. Texans at Chiefs. I like the Texans here. It looks like the Sharps are mixed on this. They keep betting a 3.5 plus 3.5 or -3. So we'll see what they do Sunday. But the fact remains that Kansas City's offensive line is just ravaged by injury. They lost both tackles and their top guard. So they're going to be struggling to block Houston's elite defensive line here. Just a big advantage for Houston. And then Houston's offensive line has played better. They had a rough start to the season, but they've gotten better in pass protection, and so should be able to block the Chiefs, who've been awful defensively. The Chiefs are 27th in defensive EPA, so the Texans should be able to at least keep this game close, if not win outright. I like them here. And then Eagles at the Chargers. Looks like the sharp money came in on the Chargers +3. We'll see if they bet the +2.5 as well, or if they come back on the Eagles at -2.5. But look, Jalen Carter's out. He's so big for that defense. Lane Johnson's out. The Eagles are missing a lot of people. I know the Chargers are as well with their two tackles gone, but that's been a long while. And last week might be a small sample size, but they did block better. Now it's against the Raiders, so it's have to take that with a grain of salt. But still, Jim Harbaugh was on a bye, and maybe he figures something out. And I think that we could see that here. Plus, the Chargers are playing against an East Coast team, playing at night on the road. So circadian rhythms will benefit them. I would back the Chargers here +2.5. I don't trust the Eagles. Now the Eagles could come back with a vengeance and kind of redeem themselves from that embarrassing performance against the Bears, but I'm not really seeing it with this team. It looks like they are going through the motions. I don't understand what's wrong. Maybe Super Bowl hangover. Maybe something else is weighing on them in the locker room. I don't know. This team doesn't seem the same. If this were the Eagles from last year, I would absolutely back them here. But this Eagles team seems a lot different than the one last year. So I like the Chargers +2.5. So those are the WalterFootball.com Week 14 NFL picks. Final thoughts video. Let me know what you think. Who do you like? Who do you hate this week? Am I way wrong on some of these picks or all these picks? Let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, please hit like, subscribe, share this video, and visit WalterFootball.com for tons of free content with the NFL. And I'll be back hopefully Sunday night / Monday morning with our instant reactions to Week 14 if I don't fall asleep again. Otherwise, we'll do the power rankings Monday night / Tuesday morning. So check that out then, and I'll talk to you in the next